This is a Stipple Wild video, so if you don't have Stipple Wild, just get out of here. I'm going to talk about the depth dot, which was used to make this, and where it went if you're confused from the last update, all 10 of you guys that use this app. I'm going to tell you where it's moved to and how to use it. All right, I'm going to launch Stipple Wild. So I'm just going to start out with the basic image, the basic S logo, and press the dot shape menu, click down on the drop down, go to effects. Now these three dots right here, these are the depth dots. And what they are small offset dots that when used at a large size create the illusion of depth. So I'm going to go to the brush size, and what you want to do is make the dots bigger. Then you don't want your min dot to be at nothing. You want it to be a little bit bigger. Now the depth dot is pretty slow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the fill menu and I'm gonna put pix gap in. And to start, I'm gonna put in something like 5 and 5. I am also gonna switch the background to black and the dots to white, and we'll see how this goes. And as I said, this can be kind of slow. Basically, the dot you're using a big dot, so it takes a while to for Stipple to do all the sampling of the source images. So that is why it is slow. So you can see right here, we've not only does the dot increase and decrease with the dark and light of the image, just like normal in Stipple, since it's offset, it creates this it creates the illusion that there is kind of a bevel or an emboss on this. So I'm gonna delete this, and then we'll put the row gap at something like 20, and we'll go with the columns at 2, and we could probably go to 1. I just don't want it to stall up on us. Now we're going to do the trick where we make the diagonal lines. So what we want to do is go to oh, excuse me, actually we should switch that around. The column, let's see. Oh, no, I'm good. All right, so my Y right here, my Y wave, I'm going to go to number of. I'm going to go to the input of 0.5, and I'm going to go to a percent of 25 for the the percent value. And then amp, I'll start with 200. Um, this might be different on your end. As I've said before, the fill menu is or the grid menu is very much based on the resolution of your device. So if you're using a higher res device, go with something instead of 200 amp, go with something like 500 amp. So I'm going to hit fill, and I'm going to hope that this doesn't take too long. There we go. And then I'm going to put zig on, actually, is what I want to do. And actually, I want to change my Y to negative 200. And I'll explain that in a second. Why negative in this case is better. All right, so this is exactly what this tool is for. Let's go and switch the pix gap to 1 because that didn't take too long. And this is, this is exactly what this trick is all about, which is creating this lumpy effect right here. Now you might have noticed that there are 3 shapes right here, right? So if I were to pick this one where the dot is in the left top corner, because I'm going at a slant that would match this dot shape. Basically, this slant is going from left to right, the top left to bottom right. So because this shape right here would match, I'm going to switch this to 5 because I don't want it, or I'm going to switch this to 3 because I don't want it to take too long, because it's not really going to do what we want anyway. You'll notice that if I use this, it's not going to give us that effect, or if it does, it's not really going to be that good. You see, it's not quite as defined because now I'm matching my the dot position is offset in the same direction as the waves. So now if I were to switch this to positive 200 and do it again, you'll see that now we end up getting the reverse of the other effect, and we have that same beveled embossed look or whatever you want to call it, but it's going in the opposite direction. So you can experiment with the waves and stuff, but just keep in mind that some of the wave settings are going to negate the position of that dot, the position of the depth dot. So one other kind of cool trick that you can do, and I've noticed that it doesn't really look that great on this device right here, because this device isn't all that high res, and I'm wondering if maybe the dots aren't rendering completely correct on this device. But actually, I'll leave this. Actually, you know what? All right. So what we want to do is we want to get a. Actually, excuse me. What we're gonna do is on the dot shape, we're gonna pull these things to be the same. Uh, the min and max dot, we're gonna make them as close together as we can, and then we're going to go to the image menu. We're gonna keep draw shape on. Actually, we're gonna turn draw shape off completely. Now on the effect channel, just turn it on, and we'll have the default S logo. And then for the rotate map, or for the option, the effect option down here, we're gonna go with rotate map. So next up, we are going to go to the dot shape menu itself, and what we want to do is put in a rotation of 360. And what this is going to do is the way that the rotation map works is it rotates the dot shape based on the black white value. Now, a dot shape of this offset dot ends up creating some interesting effects when we go to fill this, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You see what I mean? It created these kind of crazy loop-de-loop shapes, all being rotated by our source image. And you'll notice that on the tops and the bottoms, some weird stuff happens, and that's because Stipple is seeing the edge of the image as being like the edge pixels. It gets a little confused on those ones. Sees them as kind of a gray tone. So that's kind of how this effect works. Uh, Now let's use it for something cool. I'm gonna go back to just the draw image, and I'm gonna pick. Let's see. I'm gonna pick this skull, and what this skull is, I'll zoom in on it for a second. Okay, so what this skull is it's a depth map. I grabbed this off the internet, and what a depth map is it basically maps the white to the closest part of the image, and then as it fades to black, that's where it's getting further from the camera. They use this in those magic eye pieces and some other 3D effects that you can do in some other programs. So now if I go to, let's see, I'm gonna turn my var back to 0. I'm gonna go to my dot shape or my dot size menu, and I'm gonna put some variance between the min and the max dot, and I'm gonna hit go, and let's see what happens. uh let's reverse that so white is on the right. Okay, and you'll see that now we've picked up the depth of this image with these dots. Uh, and if we maybe make this 10 and make this 2, we can check up the clock. The last time it took 1.5 seconds. So this should take about 4 times as long, 6 seconds. Was I right? 4.3. Beat my expectation. Haha. Stipple, you're always beating my expectation. Uh, So this gets kind of cool right here, right? It's like you see the depth within this image, and if you're into that scroll flicker stuff, which I certainly am, you'll notice that these things flicker like just like nuts when you get them on Instagram and you start scrolling up and down. So this is the basics. And you can experiment and see what you can do with it. I think I've showed just about everything. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Have fun. If you make something cool, send it my way. All right. Bye.